Barwell, a club that I know very well. You obviously know very well. You were there post-COVID. Talk about how did that happen, Barwell?
So I'm at Quorn, got them promoted. We were like 4, 5, 6 games in, and Stuart, great fella, loved that club, done so much for it, the whole journey with Vardy. But whenever I was phoning him up and I needed a player, it was always, can you play my grandson? What about him? I go, well, he can't play centre half. He's a forward. If you need a fullback, what about my grandson? So we got to a point where he gave me a proposition that I felt that my family would be rewarded, but I couldn't stand honestly in the dressing room. So I decided to stand down. And ironically, my friend who I took there, Gav, we had a strong team there with, Gav and Steve Evans, Robert Betts, Payday Paney, Nick Green, Adam Wigley, Nigel Julian. We had a hell of a team. And technically, we were brilliant in terms of keeping the ball. We were the only team that were kind of playing like a diamond with the three. So we had a big centre forward, and we retained the ball really well. But I just got tired of never getting this. And if I brought a centre forward in, well, it was like, wow, I don't know what I'm doing. And I just had enough. I just handed in my notice, just resigned, and I kept it close to myself. Obviously, Obes would know, and Obes left. And as much as you want players to leave and be on your side, and they were getting their beer money, they were getting them half them. It depends their status they were, but they're getting paid. It was decent. Gav, who I was really close with, he got offered the job and took the job. You kind of get a bit of a personal feeling against it, but at the end of the day, as we all say, it's football. You've got to make the right thing, and he had he was just having a newborn, and work weren't too good for him, so it was obviously a good opportunity for him. So I stayed down, and then that was around October, and then I am proper bored out of my head, watching games, finding whatever to do. Waiting, seeing what opportunity it is, and then I get a phone call from Dave, or was it Colin? Either or, can I go meet down the long shoot? And went down, we had a chat, and they nearly did a Racing Club Warwick on me, to be fair, but in fairness, they'd already told Blythe, so I got invited to the ground, but Blythe wanted to see the game out, so I sat in the stands, and again they won. I was thinking, oh God, and then I got introduced to the players, and I'm the reason why Jimmy Ginelli won that division with Atherstone, because I then didn't have to play Atherstone with that rest of that season, but beat everyone else for him.
Well, we've got here,
because I know he said I never beat any of his teams, but there are a few fixtures in there I would like to remind him. But no, I love Jimmy, great lad. We had good banter with that, and I remember at Sphinx coming across him and at the Cabbage, and they had a great setup there, and it was this young spunk of a lad turning up, and but he did really well with that Atherstone team, and I went in at Barwell and took a few from the Quorn as quick as I could, or within the rules, because there were two separate leagues. It was easier to do, because we would have been Midland Alliance. Quorn was level 4 then, so you can be dual registered.
Well, you had some incredible achievements at Barwell. So we've got down here, and correct us if we're wrong, winning the Midland Alliance with 114 points. And then one that's caught our eyes here, I don't know is this true? 66 games unbeaten. Is that right?
Yeah, Barwell went 66. I I went 69 in the end.
Fucking hell.
The British record was 72, held by AFC Wimbledon, by two different managers over that period of time. We would have broke it if I'd stayed. 100%. And we'll get into the mix of it all now. And that weren't me. That weren't just me.
Right.
That weren't me as the manager and the Marino I wanted to be. I was probably the circus master, so to speak.
Okay.
It was all of us. Learned a lot on reflection rather than at the time. So you remember we said about I never smiling. I was just a miserable bastard, forever trying to improve it. It took a while to get to that team. And like I said, it actually stemmed from Racing Club Warwick. You know, Scott Lower came in, I've mentioned before, Nick Green.
Yeah, you're bringing players from clubs.
They
and
then
clubs
come
and
through
stuff,
in at Quorn. So now we're taking from Quorn into that Barwell, should we say, the Invincibles. Scott Lower, Nigel Julian, who were tigged out from Quorn. He came over got Jamie Towers in. Now Jamie Towers goes back to when I was at Cov Sphinx.
Yeah.
That's where we first met. So it was easy to pull him because he had a respect that I gave him that platform. Scott Hadlin then comes into me, earning shitloads of money at Brackley with his brother for whatever reason. And during this path that we spoke about, I was always trying to sign. Guy played for me at Racing Club Warwick for one game. I'd have random players I would pull in and got to know them, so they knew me. And a lot of the times as well, when I was trying to sign them, I knew I wasn't going to sign them, but I was educating myself in negotiations and trying to lure and sell and understand, and everything usually come down to the level or the value of money, and that's basically how you ever sign someone. And things were really developing, and I can remember the day that started. We lost to Westfields 1-0 on a Shrove Tuesday night. And that season, we, Viv, the mathematician he is, created a way of the budget in terms of you got paid by when you played, by the amount of points that we would get in.
Right.
So the second season, we did a hell of a lot of points, but we only come second.
Right.
We lost 1-0 to Westfields and on a Tuesday night, like I said. So I phoned Dave up on the Wednesday. I said, "What do you want to do?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, it's your money, and not that I want to give up the ghost, but the likelihood now in market trading are going to go on." It was really annoying because we'd already beat them as well, but there was a few little slips. And I said, "I want 2 players." And I think I've got it then. I think I've got the group. I've got tick everything, every box. And he goes, "Well, I ain't giving up." And I went, "Okay." So we had Liam Castle in goals. Like, if we're going to go literally what would the 11 would have been. Scott Lower. And then I had Nick Green that I could play either centre-half, right-back, centre midfield. Francino Francis that I turned into a centre-half from being a centre-forward. We... left back had a lad called Adam Willis, who I picked up from Corby, who I met at the time when I first met Liam Daly, when I did a bit of work for Kev Wilson at Corby. Midfield then was Nigel was right wing or left wing. Kev was up front.
Kev Charlie. Yeah,
fantastic player.
Would you have had Danny Gorn then?
No, Danny had gone.
Probably better later on.
Yeah,
he come back with Jimmy, really.
Yeah, he went mine. And then I said, I need a left midfielder, or I could play in the centre midfield. And I've got a centre forward that could go up front with Kev. Because I had Nigel's brother Joel up front, and he was lovely in terms of like he was physical, but he just weren't a finisher. And this day at Westfield, we had loads of chances, we didn't score, and we lost 1-0. And it was a poxy bloody goal that I think it might have been Adam scoring an own goal, but he slid in, he's deflected and gone past Liam. And he said, "What are you on about?" And I said, "Well, there's Liam McDonald at Cradley, and I think we could get him. And there's Adam Cunnington at Rothwell, and I think we could get him."
Liam McDonald, who's manager at Stourbridge now?
Yeah.
Fair play.
So we then, on the Saturday, we played Tipton away. And so it's centre half with Fran was a lad called Stuart Spencer. I think he's now at Harborough with Mitch. And we win 1-0. And that was the start. That's when we went the rest of that season we didn't lose. I think we even pitched in with a 5-0 winning at Market Drayton, who won the league that year. And then they brought us into this season, should we say. And whenever I go in for like a job interview or whatever, I said it always takes 3 years to build your team. You get your first year, you get your foundations, then you're tweaking. Your second year is usually not as good as your first year, and then your third year you're done. Obviously, with these kind of scenario, the progression of where I've gone and what I'm doing, so Scott Lowe's now been with me 4 or 5 years, been with Obes 4 or 5 years, Nick Green, who I'm working with at Aston Villa at the time, and I'm learning so much from Aston Villa. I'm progressing really well now in terms of how I see football, how I deliver football. Barwell are just getting everything that Aston Villa's teaching me. I mean, at this given time, my life was get up at 4 o'clock, go to work so I can leave early. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning, Sunday, I'm at Aston Villa. On a Wednesday, I'm there in the afternoon, in the evening, right through to the evening, doing the full-timers. I'm Tuesday night away with Barwell. Yeah. Thursday, after working at Villa, I then go train Barwell. Saturday morning doing academy, and then doing Barwell. I am just engrossed with football everywhere. And then, you know when they say just be stealth and get on with it and you'll achieve something, there was nothing there. I mean, by the time we're now at Barwell, I've met Lucy and she got to see me Sunday afternoons. That was the only time that was social. I was that.
It's mad how it can just embrace you so much, and
that's crazy.
But I was driven. I had and things were working. They were, I could see things being delivered, and Villa. I'm coaching Jack Grealish, Danny Crowley, Jacob Ramsey, Lewis Brunt. You mentioned Mitch earlier. To coach the twins, Callum Robinson, Ricardo Calder. They're all players who have made it to a very Grealish.
It's £100 million player.
I'm surrounded by educating these players and learning how to educate them. So then when Jimmy was on about he was lucky to watch Aston Villa. Well, I was another level up in terms of what I was getting. I was in with Kev McDonald, Tony McAndrew. Go watch the first year. So where Jimmy was just watching and learning, I was actually being taught how to deliver it, and who was benefiting. It was what we alluded to, how I wanted to create training sessions.
Was there never a chance for you to go into Villa full time or be a coach in that sort of game?
At the time, which we'll probably get to, I got asked. I literally had to make a decision: Kettering, stay at Barwell, or go to Villa.
Really?
Villa would have took me on full time, and I don't do regrets because I wouldn't have achieved what I achieved if I didn't have that decision making process, and I wouldn't, And if I look back now, I probably would be in the Football League in some capacity. I would be in full time football, whether it be still at Villa or be somewhere. But the one thing that I think Villa loved about me, and what I loved what I had, is I had that competitive part of my coaching to go win. So I could bring it into the development of the players whilst we're developing them, because life is competitive.
Definitely.
And stress can take you away from learning, I get that. But sometimes to find out who they are, you need to stress them a bit, and they need the consequence. You don't do something in life if by the choices and by understanding the outcome of it. So if I throw that glass, it's going to smash. So I'm not going to throw it. If you're training a lad and he says, if you keep doing that, you're not going to get picked, and you keep picking him, he's not going to know. So what we did at Villa on the midweek games, we'd pick first 11 and we told them why. And this is now your understanding. Obviously, there was a certain against ethos or how we're learning, but that was a key learning. So I had that in me because of what I was doing with Barwell in terms of I'm now picking teams. But so Adam Cunnington comes in, Liam McDonald comes in, and then come the summer, Jamie Towers gets added. Martin Hire gets added. Scott Hadlin comes in with Craig Dutton. Richard Letts was already there, and these boys together were just couldn't get them home. They would get there. The whole club, the flags would go out half hour early. The kit was already laid out. I had a real stupid thing about I would always put the kit away, or I would. So I always believed is like you lead. Don't ever tell someone. So I would, by the end of a season or whoever I was with, I'd guarantee I wouldn't put the kit away. Would never ask anyone to do it. I started doing it. And if someone threw me their shirt and it was inside out, I'd fling it back. Or if the socks were still rolled up, I wouldn't say anything. They knew why.
Yeah.
But then guaranteed by the end of the season, they were actually putting their shirt the right way in the bag. And it was just little things that would just develop and became togetherness, and they just loved each other and they got on really well, and they learned actually. So Adam Cunnington come in and they a bit of a southerner in terms of arrogance and like a bit of a swag, didn't come across overly too well at times, but they accepted him because of what he'd done, and it become quite a difficult dressing room to walk into. You had to be a player, but at the same time, you had to also fit in. So you got Obes with his fines, and they're just being ridiculous. You got Liam Castle wearing his girlfriend's knickers every week because that and different rules. You couldn't put your bag on the bench. That is a great rule. If you want to bring a rule, you can't put your bag on the bench. What do the players walk through in every away game? Go straight on the bench. £2. Thank you very much. Not allowed to go home before 6 o'clock. All them kind of stuff.
Yeah, we got that one.
Yeah.
But that was pointless because these lads got on that well.
They were there.
They didn't want to go
there
home.
until 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the Thursday after training. And we even the lads complained about the budget in terms of you got half money on the bench and you got a little bit less if you didn't get on. So the lads wanted to even it all out, apart from one player, and that was Liam. Liam went, no, it is what it is, because what we wanted to do is knock a fiver off the first 11 to then supplement.
Okay.
No, and I had to kind of nurture the budget in a fashion that it appeased everyone. Everyone always thought we had a huge budget. We had a competitive budget, but I couldn't get rid of players in the end. I had a 20-man squad. And I couldn't get rid of anyone. I needed them in the sense that we were winning every game and we were in every competition. We got to the Vars semi-final. We got into every final you could possibly have been that season. So I kind of needed them. And I come to find out later on chatting, they used to have bets on not who was starting. It was who'd actually get who was getting rested from the whole squad, let alone be on the bench. And Kev Charlie's biggest gripe with me is about the rotation. Because that season, so the season we won the league, 100 goals were scored. Kev got 50, Adam Cunnington got 50, and the pair of them weren't the top goal scorer that year.
What?
Player, and I can't remember his name, I was trying to think of it on the way over here, was top goal scorer that season, played for 6 different teams, and not once did he play against us. And I can't remember his name, but if you go through the records of that year, there was a player, never played us once, and he was the top goal scorer. And why Kev's annoyed is I left Adam was on the pitch longer than him. I'd always the crappy little games we'd like to maybe rest Kev. Adam got a little sniff, and he so I go down the Cov Jag now and again, and he still has a little whinge and moan to me about it.
Moving on to Kettering. Your first stint at Kettering, this is after Barwell. So you mentioned you made that decision between either going to Villa full time,
yeah, so
or going to Kettering. So obviously, but you were only there for 8 months. Your first stint, I worked out.
Yeah, so that summer, I had a lot of press interest and had a lot of conversations, and I had people coming to me wanting to be an agent for me. The Villa thing was going really well. Felt really good. I was putting myself in any opportunity to be over there and training, and I felt something was going to happen. And one of your previous podcasts, Jimmy, came available, and I actually spoke to Paul, then I spoke to Scott. I said, Scott, go sound him out, because I think it'd be good, someone totally different to either me and Paul. And I was kind of protecting the club, thinking there's someone, either he can come in and help Paul carry on, or I take Paul, which was the kind of the way my head was. I would have took Paul. Jimmy could easily slot in, because things are going to happen. Didn't know when, didn't know who, but I was heavily asked to put my CV in, asked to speak to people, and I had quite a few interviews. So the Kettering job comes available, and like I do, go on the email, go send it. At the same time, Hensford job comes available, so
massive club.
I applied for that as well. Get a phone call from Hensford. Can I go over to them on Monday evening for an interview? Yep, I'll be over. Set the time with a gentleman called Terry McMahon. We're going into Friday before the game, and who playing Colville in the FA Cup. I'm getting loads of calls from Milton Keynes number. Phone it back, and it's just putting me to like an automated service. If they want, obviously, if they want to speak to me, they'll call and I'll pick it up. And this was going on for over an hour. And eventually I get an email from a receptionist from DRC Locums. Can I please phone her on a mobile? And I phoned. And can I get myself down to Milton Keynes, DRC Locums, head office? The chairman, Imran Laddock, of Kettering Town, would like to speak to you. I went, today? She's gone, yeah. Right, okay. Fuck. I'm at work.
Yeah.
So I'm going into my boss, Brasso, and obviously he's been working with me now. Well, he's my director, he's my boss, and he's watched me for all these years. They're in a buyout. He's selling the business. The other director's gone. We've got all this other stuff. He's got all this stuff coming on, and I'm part of the business. And I've gone, I'm going to have to go. Go where? Milton Keynes. How are you going to get there? Oh, I'm going to have to take one of the vans. No, you can't take one of the vans. Fuck. Phone my mate, Dooch. Dooch, what are you doing? Nothing. You can take me to Milton Keynes, could you? Why? Oh, I think I've got a job interview for football. Kettering. Oh, all right, yeah, I'll take you. So we go down. First thing, right, got to phone Dave Lang. Got to be honest up front. I'm now thinking, fucking hell, I'll be in the game tomorrow. Managing Kettering, maybe. Dave, I applied for the Kettering job. They're asked to speak to me. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm on my way down. I'll keep you informed. Well, I need to know straight away.
Yeah.
But also respectful. And Dave's not a silly man. He would have known of my appetite.
Yeah.
And so he'd probably be a bit pissed off now that I was applying for stuff. But it was the way it had to be done, and in terms of I wanted to get my name out there and whatever. So anyway, we go down and we go in this fucking massive room, massive boardroom, real plush office, got a big fuck off European Cup replica there. And Imran sitting there, only a small little fella with a fairly burly lad called Clive Berlin, who's a big London agent. So they start talking and we're going through, and they're hitting me with how I think about football and do you think you could cope at this big level, and I'm just selling myself. I'm in there for 3 hours. My mate is still outside. Wondering, the fuck's he doing? And we're just going in and Imran's just like getting really excited, and it's like you just said, you looked at the goals and you looked at that, and he went, how are you making a team do that? I mean, Clive's being realistic. He said, well, that's level 5. This is level 1. This is, it's a totally, you haven't been at this level. But then I'm talking about how I see football, how I always get players from a different level. Then I'm looking at what I do, my connections at Villa, and just like selling myself. And they've gone, Clive's looked at Imran and gone, you're going to have to make that phone call. He went, yeah, I'm going to have to make that phone call. And I'm like going, I'm here. All right, Marcus, we'll be in touch. Right, okay. Go downstairs and go out. Mate's gone, how have you got on? Fuck knows. I don't know. Were you in there ages? Well, yeah, we're just talking football and whatever. So we're driving back, and then I get a phone call from a number I don't know. It's this Clive who went, you've done really well. Really impressed. I think Imran's going to call you, but he's just he's offered the job to someone else. He's going to retract.
Oh, no, difficult conversation there.
So I went, oh, right, okay. Back to normal. I've got an interview Monday with Hensford. We're playing Colville, the FA Cup. Crack on. We go to the game. Obviously, I've now had the phone call with Dave saying, yeah, it went well. Don't know what's going to happen. They're going to be in touch. Saturday morning, Imran texts me, coming to your game, coming to have a look. So, okay, well, whatever. We win 3-2. And then we're doing what we normally do. He phones me, can come see me at the booze on the corner. Where you come out of the ground and come down.
Barwell.
Out of Barwell, going towards Hinckley. Is it like the windmill?
Yeah. I know what you mean now, yeah.
Can you come and see me there? So I said to Dave, the Kettering chairman wants to go see me now. He went, this is all happening too quick. It's not right. Obes is saying, I'll come with you. We'll sound him out. And Dave's going, all I'm going to say to you is don't jump at the first one. All right, okay. Now, at the same time, things are bubbling around with Villa. They're now taking on more full-time staff. There's an opportunity, 100% for me there. They're inquiring, asking what I would do. So anyway, we go into go to the pub, we're chatting, and he makes me an offer, which was a bit more than what I was earning in my full-time job. Because I'm going to have to leave the full-time job because they're full-time.
Right, okay.
But it weren't overly great. So the kind of money I was pulling from a full-time job, Aston Villa and Barwell, and the hours I was doing at Villa as well, by the way, it was very restricting in like going to Kettering. So I had to sit down with my mum, my dad and Lucy at the time, who's heavily pregnant, or in the early stages of pregnancy, because it's February. So we found out when we got all the awards, we found out we were pregnant. So she's probably midterm. So I now got all this running around in my head. What's going to be the right decision? And then it come to a nutshell was, like I just explained there, how many hours am I doing for football? And I've been doing that for 10 years. It weren't like just that month I was doing that amount of football. I was doing 10 years, Sunday through to Saturday, coaching academy, coaching juniors, working around my football, travelling to watch Ossett versus Balper on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night, knowing we're going to play them in the FA Cup. No, so many, travelling to Needham Market, the things that no one ever looks at, discusses, that gets you home at 1 a.m, 2 a.m. to get up 4 o'clock so I could leave early to then, all this came to a crescendo to say, you got to take it. Why have you done it for?
Yeah.
You're going to do another 10 years of this, or, will there be another opportunity? So I took it with the proviso I could also stay working at Aston Villa. Had to do a month's notice at work at the same time. So that first month, so I signed a 2-year contract on my 35th birthday to become a full-time manager.
Fucking hell.
And I was absolutely buzzing. I went down, that was the Wednesday, went down on the went down on Thursday to the. Oh, sorry, So he offered me on the. So I missed a big chunk out there. So on the Saturday, he's offered me. So I've got all this spinning around in my head. So I've said, yeah, I'll take it. He said, but I need you to go through an interview on Monday. You've offered me the job. Yeah, but I'm just the chairman. What I'd like is Lee Thorne and Ken Samuel to discuss with you. Right, okay. So I've got a phone at work now and say I'm going to be late in Monday, and then they come and meet me at. So I was working in Nuneaton at the time, the island off the M6. I can't remember the hotel now. So we sit there, and it was just a bizarre hour. They were just saying, "So why was he talking to you then? Why was he?" And I'm like, "Well, I applied for the job." And what makes you think you could do it better than so-and-so? So now it's coming to head. Basically, they've obviously wanted X, Y, Z. I think it was Di Marino, the lad who...
I think
and he was a very, very good coach. And I think Imran had discussions with him before, and he was progressing. He's done extremely well. And they were really like trying to work out why I swung their heads. What have I done? And it was just like, I come out there going, I don't know what I've got the job. I haven't got the job.
Yeah.
And then I get a phone call from a lad called Kevin Wilson, an ex-Northern Ireland international, used to manage Kettering, did Corby or whatever. And in fact, I coached for him at Corby. He says, just be careful. What? Be careful. What do you mean? Because I've heard you got the Kettering job. Be careful. Just keep your wits about you. So I'm thinking, he's telling me I've got the job, and who's he talking to? And yeah, I've just left two blokes here who were more questioning me about like why I've totally changed the chairman's mind. So then on the Wednesday, I've got offered the job and I accepted it. And what a whirlwind that next month was.
So, how did you find then the first few months at Kettering? Now it's all signed and sealed, and the chairman and everyone and all owner.
Yeah, so a big whirlwind, and also I'm living in a bit of heaven, what I've been striving for. But the first 48 hours were ever going to be a lesson into what I was about to walk into. So I go down, introduce myself to the players on the Friday. They had Tommy Yashin and Paul Furlong, the ex-Watford, Chelsea centre forward. They were running the ship. I said, carry on doing what you're doing for the week. I'll just come in, introduce myself, and then you pick the team, and then I'll work with you on match day. Okay, cool. So I introduced myself to everyone. Clean slate. I only knew one player. Obviously I knew of Paul Furlong. I knew of James Dance from his days at Redditch.
James Dance. He
he
cuts my hair.
Hell of a player. Well, you see, you could have done a bit of a due diligence on me there because he played for me at Kettering. And Eisen Christie, who I was at Coventry City with, he was a year below me, but we always played. He played 2 years up, I played a year up. So we knew, and he was a very close friend to Paul's. I went in on my own with the view that come the summer I can reshape how I want to do everything. Obviously I had Paul in mind, and he weren't in a position where he could just jump out of work, and the way it was worded, it was basically got a few people on contract, just come in, work with them, and then take it from there. So I introduced myself to all the players, clean slate for everyone. They're in the relegation zone. Things ain't gone too well, but I come in, fresh face. They'll pick the team, and we'll take it from there. But whatever's gone on before, it's nothing to do with me. Let's work together. Let's see where it goes. I know you guys have heard this bullshit all before. I know you're like, whatever, but it's a living. This is now your livelihood. You've got a job to do. You've got to be professional. And that's a Friday. So we, obviously come to the Saturday morning, getting a lot of text messages, good luck, well done. So it's all being announced and everything. Get in my car, get a phone call from Imran. Got your goalkeeper. I've got a goalkeeper. Yeah, you can't play him. Why? Don't like him. What? Don't like him. Don't trust him. Yeah, but where have you got this other goalkeeper from? Calvin Jack. Got him on loan from Darlington. Played for Trinidad and Tobago against England. Well, that's where I'm getting where he's from. He didn't tell me that. He goes, got Calvin Jack from Mark Cooper. But I've told everyone it's a clean slate. I'm going to pick it. Well, you're going to have to deal with that.
Oh, he's one of them.
I've gone. So why don't you like him? Why he's throwing goals in? He's taking bets. I mean, you know this. I just think he is. Okay. All right. So I go to Nathan to get in there first. So now I'm like, literally, here's your first port of call. Sorry, Nathan, I can't play. I've been told I can't have you in the squad. I goes, we'll pick it up Monday. But this is all beyond my territory. I need to have a full understanding of what's going on. Okay. We win the game. Serge McCofu scores. James Dance scored us the winner. Really felt no different. It was just a game. It was league game, so I was going to win because I'm now up to 66 games. And tactically felt confident, buzzing really, just like trying to stay calm, be excited. Attitude of players, a lot more professional, more onus on me. So, for instance, like I'm telling Eisden, like, what's going on with your knee? Are you all right? You're fine. I didn't have anyone else on the bench. I wanted to keep him on, but he's like pushing it on me to make the decision, which I got wrong in the end because we lost him on an injury. But he's seen the game out for us, and then I didn't see him for a while in terms of being injured. So that was a lesson straight away. So honesty is like, he don't want to be seen to be coming off. He's not going to tell me he's coming off. I've got to admit. And then it was, okay. Still got this thing lingering in the back of my head now. I've gone against my word to Nathan. And then Ashley Westwood, who went on and been a fantastic coach, worked in India TV, says, I won't be in on Monday. And I'm going, but we're full time. I'm in court. What? I might need you to be a character witness for me. Would you be able to do it? I said, I've only just met you. I goes, yeah, but you're going to need me in the squad. I've gone, well, what have you done? I just got into a fight. It was wrong. It was one of them, and he was a copper. I've gone, what?
Oh no.
Oh right. Oh,
bit different to Barwell. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I only had to deal with Scott Adland. Yeah. He just couldn't remember half the stuff. And I was like, fucking hell, Westy. He goes, oh no, but my solicitor says I'll be all right. I'll let you know how I get on. He goes, but would you be able to do as a character witness if I need one? Well, of course. So we then get to the Monday, we train, and then we're playing York City away. I rush to train and take the training session. Then I have to shoot off and do my work. And we play York. Nathan Abbey didn't travel. He's now suspended. And it's going through that whole process now where the club are going to try and sack him. I've got to be seen to be under regulations and rules. Got to make sure we look after him correctly and don't single him out. And so, like, I only started yesterday, and I've got this straight on me. Wesley was right. He got a slap on the wrist. Didn't need my character witness, so he'd come back in the squad. We play York away. Play really well. York are quite high. Cash was up front from, I think, was he, or was he at Cambridge then? I'm trying to think of that York team, but we nick a 1-0. John Dempster, who's now at Coventry in the staff, he scored a header. Another a very good lad, and Kettering through and through. And we win 1-0. And Imran comes down to me, he goes, it's a good feeling, this is good. I'm going to put you up in hotel on Saturday. We've got Southport away. And so we did. We travel up on the Friday, and we Nathan's not allowed to travel. We've got John Dempster suspended, and I think we had an injury. So Wesley's now coming into the team, and I think I played Ian Roper. I think we had to play him, and we go downstairs. We have our meal, the meal before the game, the night before. Sorry, and we're sitting there, and I've said to Tommy and Paul. I mean Tommy Ashen and Paul Furlong, and I've gone. Don't you think that's odd? And they've gone, what? Look. And they're looking, and they can't see what I can see. Got 2 tables of the squad. All black lads, all white lads. Just sitting, eating opposite. And I've gone, this ain't good. Yeah. There's a divide straight away. They're not... And then I watched it, and there was a divide. And later come to find out there was 3 or 4 lads who were in incognito with not incognito, sorry. They were very close with Imran, always talking. So it wasn't about the black and white situation. It was purely that the lads didn't trust everything that was being said on that table would go back to Imran. And that took a while. At first I thought, shit, I've got a team that got a racist problem here, or racial problem, but it ended up being more the fact that there was spies in the camp, shall we call it. So we play Southport. Ashley Westwood does a naughty tackle, gets sent off. We go on and win the game. So I've gone 3 league games now on top of my run's continuing, and I'm moving them up to kind of mid-table within 1 week, and everything's going really well. Can't play Ashley Westwood ever again. What? No, he did that on purpose.
Oh no.
What do you mean he did it on purpose? No, not having it. So now I've got 2 players the club are trying to sack for whatever reasons that the club are now. Secretary's only just started when I've started. He ain't got a clue what's going on, bless him. He's got so much going on. And in terms of just getting used to the role, and now we've got to do everything by the book. There's letters being printed and handed out, and it was just mad, and yet we were on the up. And that now goes on, and that pretty much goes on right through to gone Christmas, them 2 situation. So things obviously going well. We then we play Southport. We then following week play Kidderminster. Steve Burr's Kidderminster team. Matty Blair played for them. There was a centre forward, real tall lad, played for them. Good team. McGee midfield. Mark McGee, and we drew 1-1. Yeah, 1-1. Really good game. So I've still got now Calvin Jack playing. John's back in the team. Dancer. Serge Makofu comes up to me. I'm really tired. What do you mean you're really tired? Yeah, they're travelling. Now, remember, I'm still working. I'm doing a full-time job doing my month out, as well as coaching and running a team, travelling the country, whilst doing my villa. I work for a construction company in passive fire protection. You travel to get on site for 8 o'clock, you do your shifts, you get home. And I got Serge telling me he's tired. You leave at 1 o'clock, Serge. We train for 2.5 hours.
You're seeing like a completely different side of football here. Like going from Barwell to like your players who are working full-time jobs after night training, night games, travelling to then full-time, and
that's harder. And
that's harder. Yeah, that's a lot harder. That's a lot. So were you like then already looking for? Obviously, you are looking for that next club, but then Tamworth coming along.
Whoa. That's Tamworth came about because of the shenanigans that were going on with Kettering.
Yeah, so you were like...
So to see if we wanted to sort of move it on quickly, we then lose to Rushton in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
2-1. And I remember I said it to someone today. As I was going down the tunnel, someone said, we'll see if he's your mate now, Marcus. No, I haven't lost in the league. My league was still going. We lost in the FA Cup. Following week, we play Newport away, and we win. And Greg Taylor got sent off. And then we played Mansfield on the Tuesday, and all the London lads got stuck in traffic, and we're at home. I went mental at this because you should have been there earlier. It's full time. You got all day to get here, and anyway, I ended up not picking the team that I wanted to pick, and we lost to Mansfield, and that's where my 69 come to the end. So we then went to AFC Wimbledon, had a great game there, and I started pulling players. I pulled Nick Green in, and I was getting lads like Francino, Francis, Jamie Towers, Liam. I got them training with us on certain days to get used to and seeing if they're good enough to see if they could cope. Because I knew Nick Green could, weren't sure if Jamie could. Fran had come from Watford, so he had the capabilities, but could he do as a centre half? So that was out there, and Liam just had the endeavour and the want. So they were in the mix, and basically, this was just absolutely bizarre. So I get a phone call coming to the office to see him at Milton Keynes, and I realise we trade human beings. We just move humans around the country. That's what we do, really. You know, we buy and sell human beings, and we would literally tell them, right, you're going. And he says, right, I'm cutting the budget. Right. Not so much. Well, no, he didn't say cutting the budget. He said, well, I'm going to get rid of little players. I'm going to open up the budget. So I walked into a budget of 64 grand a month. So you over 10 months, that's like 614, and that's not even in the top six. Budget wise. When I was managing Tamworth, I had $250,000. This is like 650, not including bonuses. When actually they were full time, so it's 12 months. So you put another, so more like 700-800 grand. So right, Greg Taylor, I'm going to get him to Luton. And he said, well, how are you going to do that? Because it's not the transfer window. We'll get him on loan. Literally, for the next 2 hours, I watched the man work and get rid of half the squad, and then got a further more gone in January, sorry. And basically, he manipulated the system really well in terms of the piranhas feeding on the meat. And it was so funny to watch, but at the same time, it was absolutely destroying me because, like, I'm now... by the end of the conversation, or the end of that evening, I ended up with a 15 grand budget and no movement to bring anyone in. Any player I could bring in had to play for free. Right. Or travel expenses. And what he did was, so he phoned John Dempster up for argument's sake, said, John, we've got no money now. It's going to be really hard. We're going to struggle to pay people. I can get you a move to Darlington. Speak to Coops. He'll take you on loan, and he got a deal in January. Because basically the player's now thinking, well, I can go get paid, or I go through this battle of not being paid. And he was just basically threw it out there. While John's literally explaining to his fiancée that he's now moving to Darlington, and he gets to the last island at Darlington, he gets a phone call from Imran. So we're now through towards the end of this 3 hours on being there, because John's on the way up to sign for Coops. Your deals fell through. What? Fell through. It hadn't fell through. Imran changed. Crawley rang him, heard Dempster was going to Darlington. Darlington are competing with Crawley for the league. So Steve Evans went, I want him. They'd done a loan deal. John's had to do it. He told me, got to the island, could come back down the island, and then headed down the M1 past 10:25. Now tells his fiancée he's now moving to Crawley. And he's picking Dancer up on the same time on the way down. So Dancer went on loan to there before he went to Luton. Luke Graham then went to Luton in the January. Pretty much. So Greg went to Luton. Andre Boucard, fantastic player. He then went to York. And just everything was just like... Diminished. And then you got the two players who couldn't play. Ian Roper, right, when he gets to 16 games, you can't play him after that. I've gone, why? He went, well, it triggers another extension to his contract. So I had to pick and choose what games he played in. Yeah. And it was just like, well, who can I play? Wow. So I then got thrown into that. And then I got onto the phone. So come the January time, I go watch Coventry play. And a certain player called Callum Wilson came off the bench and played against QPR. And I phoned AD up. I said, "Can I come down?" I met AD from Bristol Rovers days, from being an apprentice, and came down. I said, "Oh, I'm in a real predicament. I need some players." So he offered me Callum for 3 months for free, as long as I played him.
Callum Wilson, yeah.
In that whirlwind of a week when I joined that, so after the York game before Southport, I had a friendly against Peterborough on the Thursday, and I'm sitting with Barry Fry, and it was just fucking pinch me, someone please, really.
Yeah.
I'm in full-time football. I'm now sitting with Barry Fry. He said, "Right, I've got your back," basically said. He knew what was going to happen. He knew the bloke. He told me a story about Imran trying to buy Peterborough, and they wanted to bring Gascoigne in as the manager, and they had concerns over Gascoigne's behaviour in terms of drinking or whatever. And the story that come out was like, "Oh no, he's really fine." And when they come to meet him, he obviously wasn't in the best of places. So they didn't buy it, Peterborough, and didn't manage him, but he bought Kettering. And Gazza ended up managing Kettering for a while.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then I've got Barry Fry telling me like the ins and outs with a lad called Lee Thorne. And it's just like, okay, so Barry gave me 2 players, a lad called Ramon and a lad called Danny Mills. Danny Mills I then took to Tamworth the following year. So I had them on loan for free. I had Callum Wilson on loan for free. He made his debut against Crawley. I had a right back called Luke O'Neill play for me for free from Leicester. Luke was sold 2 years later to Burnley for $1 million. Obviously, we know Callum's story: $2 million to Bournemouth, 20 to. So they were playing for free on my right hand side. The Crawley game in particular, and this is Imran all over. I was a manager. I never liked telling the players I never liked telling them to say, "Come and can I have a word." You know, when they're sitting all together in the dressing room. I didn't like that. I thought it was disrespectful to them. So I always wanted to tell them before. I used to try and tell them the night before, or tell them on the Thursday, but complications would happen, i.e. the player who was coming in goes ill, goes injured, doesn't turn up, gets stuck away. So compromised. You've now told the lad he's not playing, he is playing. Now and again you could turn it round into a motivation, but it was always hard to pick it back up. So I was one, before you sat in, I'm going to tell you, so I'm telling Serge, sign now Callum, and I'm going to play. I've already told Liam he's playing on the left. Serge, I'm not playing today because you're always tired, because you can't be asked to train and all this travelling, blah, blah, blah. I goes, "You've scored me 1 goal. I goes, you're flattered to deceive, blah, blah, blah. Really raining into him. And he's arguing back. We have a full-on argument. And I'm saying, "I'm not having you. You're talking bullshit. You're all talk, you do fuck all." It turned round, I don't know what flipped to me, I don't know what changed, and I went, "What, you're going to play well today? What, you're going to decide you're going to turn up and do whatever? Oh, fuck off, it ain't happening." And obviously he's bouncing back, "Yes I will." I went, "Right, fuck it then, I'll play you, and the moment you turn it, I'll drag you. I will drag you the moment you're doing a bag off." I come to find out on the Tuesday following that game, while I'm standing on the coach, I get a phone call from Imran. "By the way, tell Serge he can't come on the coach, we've sold him to Grimsby." He sold him at half-time against Crawley.
Oh, my God.
Fucking hell, man. Who is this guy?
So, and I only found out on the Tuesday. They did it on the Saturday. They'd done the deal. The agent. So basically, we had to tell Serge, "You can't come on the coach. Got to get hold of your agent. He's taking you to Grimsby." Secretary. You can imagine there's no internet now, by the way. There's like fax machines.
Yeah.
With that skin, like obviously hiding from the bailiffs and everything, the secretaries had to borrow a printer off his wife to be able to fax these forms over so he can be at Grimsby. But it was all part of the ploy because we didn't want him playing against us. So we were travelling up there, and this was all now starting where wages were starting to be paid late.
Yeah.
Some players were getting paid, some players weren't getting paid, and then it was now dealing with all this baloney that was going on and bringing players in and then being told that they can't go. We play Tamworth New Year's Day, we lose. Jamie Towers missed an absolute chance right at the end, and that was kind of his moment for him, and came off the bench, could have scored, but he came into a real shit environment, and he said, "They said for me, I'm out of there."
Really, isn't it? So I suppose Tamworth was a bit of a fresh start then, weren't it?
Yeah. So we're talking to a bloke who, to put him ran into a one-line summation, he was that real dodgy geezer you loved. And even though he's ripping you off, you're still sitting next to him. I mean, we play Rushden away, Kettering Rushden. It was the last ever game at Rockingham Road. At Nen Park under Rushden and Diamonds. Justin Edinburgh was the manager. Mm-hmm. We stayed over in a hotel. 4 weeks later, we played Barrow away. Yeah. Not Barrow outside Quorn and Loughborough. Yeah. We travelled.
So, a bit backwards there,
yeah. Well, we were 0-0 at half time. We lost 5-0. At kick-off, I had a player who'd been up for 12 hours.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Tamworth come along. So, obviously, we've got all this shenanigans going on. Mansfield comes available. Agents rang me. I haven't got an agent, but I've got people who are interested, trying to get me a deal. So this bloke says, look, I'm in with Mansfield. You're in with a chance. Can you get up there? Other agents got Tamworth looking for a manager. Dale doesn't want the job.
Yeah.
He's helped them survive, but it's not. And that was Dale all over. He was very hot and cold. He was very, brilliant football kind of guy. And then he just, from nowhere, just suddenly dropped. Not interested. I think he did rugby for a while. They were flying and then just, that's me done. I'm not having it anymore. Don't want to do this. And then they'll be back doing something lower level or whatever. So I go to Tamworth. I get offered the job. So now I've got to go to Kettering and say that I'm going to leave because you've been breached of contract. But they've fully paid me now, so we're up to date, but they've breached the contract on various scales. But I've now got an interview with Mansfield, and I've gone up there, and this was bizarre. So I was the last interview. They interviewed 6, and the only reason I knew that because when we signed in, I seen the list of people they interviewed. So there was Justin Edinburgh, there was Paul Cox, who got the job, who was always going to get the job. So Paul Cox, Ronnie someone, Justin Edinburgh, and can't think of the other person. I was the 6th one going. Now normally an interview, if you got a board, it would be like a chairman, there'd be 1 or 2 people. Well, they were in the middle of a takeover. So that's how Paul Cox was always going to get the job, because the people who were coming in and the chairman, they would already kind of been together at Eastwood or some form. If I was saying there was 20 people there, I'm not exaggerating. We had the old board, the new board, the people there who affiliated away from it. And I'm like, you're in front of 20 people for an interview, talking over
who
each other.
Who do you look at?
You're doing a presentation, and who you're trying to win over. It was just like, is this what you do in the Mansfield to me was like a football league club, even though they were in the conference.
Yeah.
But they were obviously in a bit of a transition, and they were obviously, there was politics going on there. They would say I didn't get the job, so I then had to say, right, okay, I'm going to take the Tamworth job. Yeah. And then went and told Imran and said, look, I've been offered this job. It's more secure. It's near home. It's right next to Aston Villa's training ground. I'm still working there. So, yeah, I then went over to Tamworth.
Go on there.
Well, I want to highlight some of the big moments that we've got here for Tamworth. FA Cup, absolutely massive. So it's not very often that, teams in step 1, step 2, step 3 progress really far in the FA Cup. Just tell me what was going through your head when Everton come out. What was?
Everyone was jumping and screaming. We were down at the club, so all the cameras and Sky were there, and you're just literally getting grabbed for an interview and what you're thinking. You're just rolling with it.
Because it was Everton at home.
Everton at home.
Yeah.
We played Kings Lynn, beat Kingsley. When they went 1-0 up, we then won 3-1. We then played we played Hinckley. The maddest feeling I've ever had in football. You ever? I'm not a football fan, so I'm not someone who would run around the country singing nursery rhymes. That's not me. But I certainly would understand. I'd love to go watch Rangers Celtic, Liverpool Everton, the Milan derby, or even go to South America, watch an Argentinian
River Plate versus Boca Juniors.
100%. That's definitely a box ticking. Now, I'm not putting Hinckley Tamworth in that realm, right? However,
some people would.
However, I've been now to so many football games, right, as many other people. And to be fair, I'd be interested if you speak to Lavs and tell me if he remembers it, because he was playing for Hinckley, and they had Lloyd Kerry playing for him, and they had a lad called Andre Gray.
Yes.
Yeah.
And their keeper got injured, so they ended up having their reserve keeper in. Something weren't right that day in the ground. It weren't the feeling. It was nervous. It was horrible. Now, I come to find out after the game that basically there was 4 sets of Football League fans, all had arranged, had their little tete-a-tete, shall we say, and then they all come into the game. And that's why the atmosphere was the way it was. It was just so tense. But they made such an impact on the game. It was unreal. No one wanted the ball. It was the first half was just ridiculous. I was on about the goalkeeper. Daniel Hasted got sent off. That's why the young lad ended up going in goals. And Daniel used to play for me at Quorn.
Wow.
But it was just wrong. It was just tense. Everyone was kind of at each other, and it weren't. And I'm kind of like a real sort of blue, methodical. Everything has its place, and won't get carried away with anything. Just look miserable. That's what I do. But it weren't right. There was flares going off, and it wasn't because it was Hinckley Tamworth. It was proper, and that kind of made. Well, on reflection, I thought that's where I want to go, to River Plate Boca. I want to see I want to see and how these world class players can cope with that. And that game was boring up until the last 10 minutes, and I think it ended up 2-2. Eisen scored the equalising penalty. Lloyd Kerry scored an absolute fantastic goal. And I thought it was the winning goal. Well, I was hoping it weren't, but it looked like it was going to be. From that performance is why I signed him the following year. I tried to tap into Andre Gray, but Luton got in front of me. And I think that was through Loves I was trying to get into him. And then they came to our place, and it was real. We bossed them. It was 1-0, but they weren't near us. And there was no Football League fans in the ground. It was a totally different atmosphere. And then we went up to Gateshead. We travelled up, we trained at Sunderland the night before. Gateshead should have beat us. They were higher in the league. We were just like that mid-table. On a day, on a counter-attack, we were lightning. We had some real quick players. Carl Patterson, who you've had on here up front, Daniel Bradley.
Your team was built, I remember Kyle saying your Tamworth team was fast-paced, attacking, young players, and I remember Kyle speaking about the Tamworth team and what system you played and stuff like that, and it's very different to what other teams would play.
Yeah, basically. So a lot of it came from Villa. They used to have a thing called the wedge, and any player who's come across me from them eras was sick of hearing that word, and we created like a shape. Now, over that time, in that period, Everton and Villa were in the top half of the Premiership, but would always struggle with teams below them. And it was because they were all geared up not to have the ball. So we were geared not to have the ball. So totally against the modern game under Pep Guardiola, where it's all about retained possession. Like it's like a futsal tactics. You play into pressure, not away from pressure. When you do normal football, you always keep possession, you play away. But it's flipped now. So if you've got 2 men on you, you've got one. I give you the ball. And I had a lad who played French futsal called JP Marna. Technically unbelievable. I mean, I would love to see his birth certificate. I'm sure he's 90 now, but he was playing for me, and he was unreal. But that Tamworth teams, we created a wedge. It was basically a trap. Like people, we do whether you do a deep block, a mid block, all the common terminology you want to be. At the end of the day, the setting rule was most goals were scored within 8 seconds of losing the ball. So the longer you had it, the better it was. And we would be in there within 8 seconds, and that was our race. And I remember doing a training session with it, and we had a lad called Ashley Kane.
Yeah, Ashley Kane,
who happened to be a 200-metre England.
My age.
Destroyed that training session because obviously counter-attack, boom. But, you know, I mean, he's done some great things at the moment, what we've seen him do, and he's what he's doing is amazing. And I actually pulled him. I said, you're in the wrong sport. You should be rugby league. And football-wise, he on his day, and if he didn't, if he was reactive, he was fine. But he was just too quick for himself, massively. And football is quicker because it's on the ground, and obviously with that explosion, he needed to slow down. He'd probably be brilliant now, actually, because his whole body would be a lot slower. But at the time, he was just far too quick. But yeah, that was our aim. Come on, and we would just explode out. And when it worked, it worked. But Tamworth, as I say, was a £250,000 budget compared to Mansfield that was 1.2, Luton that was 1.6. You know, I'd have their lads in the stands that were one more than my old squad. You know, and like once you had to make a change, you're proper screwed. So we went up to Gateshead, who were a passing team under Ian Bogey. So it fell into our trap, into that's how we played. But both our goals were from goalkeeping errors. It happened for us. Kyle, the winning goal, it landed at his feet, he put it in. It was on loan keeper from Newcastle, I think they had him playing. And we're buzzing, we're cheering, and on the Sunday we get called to the ground. I had to go there early because then I had to get to Villa for an academy game. And then it was just Hollywood. It was just cameras, press. And I just tried to do it as more as a learning experience because I wanted it.
Did you see it as another game as well, though? Like, I know it was Everton and stuff, but did you see it as like another game, or did you?
From a downfall, yes.
Yeah, but you should have maybe soaked it in a bit more and kind of.
I didn't stop and enjoy that moment. Yeah. The FA Cup would come, I wouldn't go near it. I said, I'll pick it up when I win it.
Yeah.
I did that with Wembley. I haven't been to New Wembley. I have been once for New Wembley, and I said, when we did the FA Vars with Barwell, the final would have been at New Wembley, and because we didn't get there, and I think because I made a mistake in the team selection at their place, I said I won't go there unless I'm working, and I ended up at Wembley, but it was more a disciplinary situation, which we can get on at a later date. It weren't my disciplinary, but yeah, I ended. So technically, I was working, and I said that about the FA Cup, so I wouldn't go near it. I mean, I got family and friends to come and see it, but so that opened my world into the Premiership for a month. So
because I suppose you're having to watch them, you're having to do your homework.
So I sent my mates to watch Arsenal Everton at the Emirates. The report back was Soho's fantastic and prostitutes are really expensive. So they didn't go to the next game. I went to the game. I went to 2 games, and the first game I went up there, introduced myself. They were welcoming. I went and handed him a bottle of wine to say, thanks for the tickets, nice to meet you, blah blah blah. Look forward to coming to play, and then we had a little chat with David Moyes. The second game, do you remember when Tim Howard scored against Swansea?
Yeah,
it was that game, mate. I was right at the top of the ground. It's shaking, and it was deliberate. I've got this 2 pillars, and I'm like this with the whole game. Moving around, can't see jack shit, but I'm shaking. I was with Mark Delaney, he came up with me, who's now at Coventry. So me and him were coaching the same Villa time at the Villa side. But so that whole month, an insight into the scouting. So I got the Wolves, I had 4 games, and every incident or major moment I had through every camera that was in the ground. So you can now start seeing why there are analyst teams, not one person. Started talking to scouts at the game when I was there, and what they were teaching me is they start watching the team 8 games in,
right,
and they change specific scouts. And I know I'm a rubbish scout for anyone else other than me. So because I've had a few jobs of scouting, and I'm a problem solver, and I look at football as slightly different. I start writing the solution rather than what we're seeing. But what they do is they do the initial, and me and you would think you watch a game purely to see how the team play. What they build up a picture from is when certain subs are made and why, and the reactions, defensive shape, and so they were just broken massively down into so many different components that then built them an array of information. Then you've got all the video data that the analysts would bring for that one game. And you imagine that's like we're 8 games per one. So as soon as you've done the first game, you're now on to the 8 week for this. And the scouts were just rolling in that way. And it was just like the depth that we're now looking into for them real micro bits. We were on about the pitches earlier. Now we're looking at that sub only seems to happen when this is happening or that. And you're now looking at everything. And I was just watching Everton and doing this. And I was going, they're no good with the ball. They don't want the ball. So I've got to give them the ball. And that's all I kept on saying to myself is, so I'm going to do what they do to others and what Villa do to everyone. So everything in my training and Martin Keown came one day and he was discussing the training session, and I said, yeah, well, I know Everton are going to have the ball, but they're not the best. Fucking hell, Marcus, you're on about Premiership football and they're not the best. But I honestly believe that they would give the ball away. And they won 2-0 from 2 set pieces. So
I watched the highlights of him.
What was the lineup, Marcus? What did they go full strength?
Yeah, so
Johnny Heitinger scored. Yeah.
He was centre half with Distan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hibbert and Neville were the fullbacks.
Yeah.
Seamus Coleman and a Russian player and Fellaini and
Sahar play, or was he on the bench?
No, Sahar was on the bench, or it might not even been on the bench. Up front was Landon Donovan.
Yeah.
And a lad who ended up going to West Brom. I can't remember his name. And I can't
Victor Anichebe.
Yep. Yeah. And then I can't remember the
Anichebe.
Yeah.
I can't remember the right winger.
Leon Osman.
Remember like Pino or something?
No, I can't remember. They had a Russian in midfield with Fellaini. Then there was Seamus Coleman was on the left in front of Neville. I just can't remember who was in front of Hibbert. And like I don't have regrets because I don't. The way I make my decisions was the reason why I got where I got. But if you ask me now, what would I have done different? I wouldn't have changed my goalkeeper. I should have played Jonathan Hedge, and I apologised to him years later, because I was getting some misinformation coming in, and if it was just a normal game, I would have made that decision that I made. But in reality, I mean, anyway, the goalkeeper that played, his dad was an Everton fan standing behind the bloody goal when Leighton Baines scored. And Leighton Baines, now this really was poignant in understanding great players. We had them on the net. We're 1-0 up, they are. The game's really going nowhere, but the more it's going nowhere, the more it suits us. Get nervous, get edgy, get embarrassing. Their manager's not happy. He ain't comfortable. We're getting little nicks now. Little waves are getting uncomfortable. Leighton Baines stood up. The atmosphere went. Every player gained another yard, and we couldn't get near them. We're talking about a left back coming on.
Yeah.
And so then made me going off thinking, fucking hell, imagine Zidane, imagine Gerrard, imagine Beckham.
He was lighting up the Premier League at that time. He was.
Yeah, but just that one player, and he'd only just crossed the white line. Yeah. I mean, admittedly, he scored the penalty.
It's mad how like that one player.
He was like their golden child, weren't he?
Yeah, but the ground changed, the atmosphere changed, and and again, lads went and enjoyed themselves. We got invited into the room after, and we're like chatting, and I'd already built up a bit of a conversation with David Moores, like on the phone, and like using it as learning and networking. And anyway, they've opened up the fridge. He said, just take a beer on your journey. I know you've got one. And he took the fucking lot, didn't he, Dale? He went, cheers. Brilliant. It was like,
Dale Balfour. Was he still there, was it?
He took the lot, yeah. No, Dale took over me when I left, when I got sacked there.
I didn't know he stayed with you, though. I didn't know he stayed.
Yeah, so I've gone in, and then I brought Paul in part-time.
Yeah, and Dale stayed
as well. And Dale didn't want to be involved, and Dale's first meeting of me was when I was assistant at Bedworth, and Steve McKenzie decided to tell all his team that I was berating them, he basically lied. He basically motivated his team to beat us in the FA Cup replay. And anyway, they've won. And I've gone to pick my bottle up, and as I've turned round, I've got Dale as close as his microphone screaming at me, basically saying, "Fuck you, we're fucking what we've done." And I'm going, "What the hell are you on about?" And like, obviously, Dale in full Monty mode, and you're like, "Whoa, Tasmanian devil." But yeah, Steve had wound them up. It worked. And that ain't the first time managers have done that, or I've done it. But yeah, so Dale didn't want the job, even though he survived. And Dale was such, like I say, a hot and cold fella. Brought him. It was like I created him ready to take the job, in that he trusted himself. And I don't know that. I kind of got that feeling in the end. Because there was situations where there was like, you could tell he now wanted the job, and it made life a little bit difficult for myself. But yeah, the FA Cup game, that was... And then I went home, went and picked my daughter up, and started studying for when we play Wrexham. So I've been on the phone to Rich this week, Rich Lavery.
Yeah.
And I said, the biggest thing I found, the problem was after. We had a week of cameras following us, and news reports everywhere, interviews, everything. Player busy. Everyone wanted to know, everyone wanted to pay you. That Monday,
nothing.
It was tumbleweed. It was like, we played Wrexham at home, and I had to build them up. And another little annoying about the Everton game, I had Callum Wilson again on loan, and Coventry wouldn't let me play him.
They're cup-tied him or something, yeah.
Well, they didn't want him cup-tied, and I was really arrogant. I went, you're taking the piss, because we got more chance of being Everton than you are, because you ain't won a game yet, because you were bottom of the Championship.
Yeah.
But yeah, they wouldn't let him play.
So what was the reason for you leaving Tamworth, though? Obviously, those highs of success, you kept them in the league and stuff, but then,
I lost games. It's as simple as that.
Like you said at the start.
It's, so the second year, we totally changed the side. I had a fantastic team. I had John Dempster back there playing. I signed Tony Breeden. What a hell of a keeper!
Breeden.
Go on YouTube, do Woking versus Tamworth, whatever year, and you'll see one of the best saves you'll ever see. It absolutely then sets up. God bless his soul, George Baldock's goal.
Because he played for me. He obviously managed him then.
Yeah. Played for me
I
at
knew
Tamworth.
he played for Tamworth.
In the midfield, I had there, and for the level that we were, as we used to play a diamond or an off diamond, depend which four I had Lee Hendry, hell of a whatever people want to say about him, whatever. I mean, he's rekindled his life and he's great on the TV, but he showed you realised levels. And I was quite arrogant in terms of when I'm talking to people and people, I know a good player and that player. And I was this kind of guy anyway, but when I then saw Lee and Lee play for me, then I shut people down. I went, no, there's levels, there's proper levels. Lee was levels. Everyone's on the motorway, he's in the cul-de-sac in terms of speed and stuff. He was fantastic player. Marcus Kelly, technically gifted, scored his first conference hat-trick for me at the conference at Tamworth. Lloyd Kerry snapped him up from Kettering and George Baldock. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, them four could play 90 minutes without goals and be really happy passing the ball. And we did that so well. So I've gone from this electric team attacking, now I was possession, and we were in around the playoffs come the around about now. And I always was hesitant about the clocks turning, because all of a sudden now we change. It's darker mornings, darker nights. We're travelling, it's wet, it takes longer to get there. The motivation is... And I was really worried because we were on such a high and we were training on an absolute quagmire. You probably know it as Polesworth.
Yeah.
It's fucking awful. And so I had Greg Taylor there on loan from Luton. I as I say, John Dempster, I had JP Marner, I had Adam Cunnington now I've brought in. Tommy Wright. It was they all fit. We're going to do Scott Barrow. Yeah. And then what happened is the nights turned, became a bit hard. Greg Taylor went back to Luton. John went to It's so annoying. Like John Dempster went back to Mansfield just to sit in the stand.
Yeah.
Because now we became a threat. And this is now you start seeing the Steve Evans and the Crawley effect. Well, kind of fucking Tamworth getting up there. Oh, to take John away. So I then have, play like Dwayne. And it was just, we were getting through. And then my mum started taking seriously ill. she was a disabled lady ever since the age I was 2. Probably why I'm very independent. I used to get my mum dressed, used to wheel her to work before I'd even walk to school scenarios, and she got taken in. And we're playing Nuneaton on Boxing Day, and usually, as you normally do, your phone's off or you get it on mute. And I just looked at my phone, and my dad's ringing. What are you calling? I've got a game. Right, I'm just letting you know, your mum's took a turn for the worse. Just get yourself over here after the game. I went, after the game? He went, yeah. Because my mum had been in there for a couple of days, and basically she had an operation Christmas Eve, and I got in Christmas Day and rapidly dropping, so we knew something weren't right. So we get the game, and we go through the game, and we lose 2-1 to Nuneaton, which is a big thing for Tamworth and Nuneaton.
Massive.
The last thing that was really running around in my head.
Yeah, definitely.
Said, right, I'll just sort you out. I'll see you Monday or the next day at training. I get to the hospital. My mum's taking a bit of a massive downturn, and we're waiting for her to go into another ward. So we're sitting around there. It's not good. And the next day comes. I get the other day off. So the second day, I take the training in the morning, and then I shoot off to the hospital. And we're gearing up for Wrexham. And I'm driving towards the ground. We're playing away to Wrexham, so I'm travelling. And I phoned Bob up, and I said, Bob, I don't feel right. I don't think I should be going. And Bob in turn says, well, you're not in a position to be motivating people, because that's what you should be doing, blah, blah, blah. And this is starting the first signs of they're not buying into me, though my head's possibly somewhere else. So I then phoned Dale. I was hoping the game was going to be called off. There was hope. I remember texting Andy Morrell saying, "No, when's the pitch inspection?" And so I turn round. I come to find out a load of stupid stories of what formation I was going to be playing that day, and that I'd lost the plot, that I didn't know what I was doing, and I was going to play 5 up front against Wrexham away, painting a picture of me that was not true. But yes, this is the team he was going to play, but and I got that from all sorts of avenues, from players, from staff. But anyway, they won the game, but we then got told that they was going to need to turn the machine off, and we went, well, you've only just come in here, we've been waiting a day, and now you've put the machine on, you're telling us, it was only a exploratory operation. So my dad begged them to give us 24 hours, which they did. And we get to the 29th of December, and that was the day we turned the machine off. And I just became numb.
Yeah.
My motivation, my inspiration. My wife's heavily pregnant, with a second due, and we went in training. I needed to get to training, needed to be normal. Lads were brilliant. Dale brought in a friend of his, to help coach, who's now currently managing Crawley. I can't remember his name now. Fantastic coach, to be fair. He went to Forest Green. And we went and played Nuneaton at home. And the news came out about that I lost my mother. The fans were brilliant. And we went 1-0 down, and then we ended up winning 2-1. And the fans were brilliant. They were singing for me, and we did that for your mum kind of scenario. And it was quite emotional.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
just loving it. Not loving it, loving the fact that I was getting.
Yeah.
And I'm not
supportive.
because I'm quite didn't let a lot of people in anyway, so it was kind of nice that I was getting that support. And we go over then to the ground, the other side where you do all your bits and bobs, and two of the board members wouldn't talk to me. It was off. It weren't right, and it was just like the loss of my mother and the fact we'd beaten and eaten's just got in the way. It did feel that way, and members of staff, as soon as I got in there, would disappear. They were very cold. Anyway, I gets home, and Lucy gets rushed into hospital with preeclampsia. Lucy, obviously, my wife at the time, and we got Sophie, and so literally, we get to the 4th of January. We're playing. So we played Nuneaton on the 1st. Lucy on that night has been rushed into hospital, and I've got to kind of look after Sophie as well and send Sophie with the mum. We now got to gear up to play Braintree on the 5th. And Ava was born on the Friday. So I've lost my mum, Peter and Eton, and then Ava's born. I'm then talking to Dale about, obviously I've been at the hospital and what's been going on. Get to the game, play Braintree, and just nothing. Everything was just wrong. Everything just. People were niggly with me. They weren't the people that I was managing. They're just, some are just massively gone, and I'm like, have I done something? Is something have I'm not dealing with? What's going on? And we played Braintree, and it was the shittest game. We were awful. We were pants. And on the Monday, I went to go see the chairman. Chairman asked me to relieve Paul O'Brien. So relieve Paul O'Brien, and all the signs are coming now. Martin, Paul's with garage. Martin Newbold, he helped sort my dad out a car because it was for some reason we sorted him a hired car out. He didn't want to do it. You can tell he was doing it, but he was being forced to do it, kind of scenario. And then we're leading up to the week. I'm trying to sign James Dance for the game against Gainsborough. Chairman says no. Okay. Dale asked me to try and get a lad called David Lloyd. Is it David Lloyd? Lloyd. He ended up playing at Peterborough for a while, on loan from somewhere from Colwyn Bay or Fleetwood. No, not Fleetwood. Somewhere up there. And we could take him, but it was Dale's recommendation. So I'm now starting to understand a few things. And we play Gainsborough again. It's just not right. I then tried to sign another player. I phoned the chairman up on the Sunday. I'm interested in signing this player. Can we bring him in? Can we just go meet in the morning? I knew. So I got there super early, took all my stuff, sat there waiting for him. So I'm dealing with the loss of my mother. I've got my second now born. And Bob comes in, says, the form hasn't been great. Your form from the end of last season. I've obviously raised expectations and it just dropped down. And there was obviously politics going on inside, out of my control, or while I was at my weakest, things had progressed elsewhere. And he then said, we're going to relieve you of your duties. And we're going to put Dale in charge temporary while we decide what we're going to do. Okay. I then says, obviously my contract, obviously got that now triggers XY clause. Nothing was. He went, how much was it? I told him the figure, and he went, oh no, I can't do that sort of thing straight away. We'll have to come back to you. I think it was like 6 months of my contract. It weren't all of it. It weren't the rest of it. And I then basically, to cut a long story short, they paid me outside of court the day before we were due in court.
Right, okay. So they strung you along sort of thing,
And that was September. So this was
Yeah.
January. It took me all the way to September, and then went through that hell, whilst then having to find a job, a real job, a proper job.
Yeah.
Because I had 2 young kids, had a newborn, and I just went into fight mode.
Yeah.
Literally getting a job, going to Villa, and I've like I say, over the last couple of years, I've been seeing counsellor and stuff, because I don't think I ever properly really grieved over my mother, because I never really got that chance.
Yeah, you didn't.
It's a real man to say that, mate.
Yeah,
I'll give you
definitely.
that.
Because you didn't. Like, you were going through so much, and the club, they could have probably supported you a bit better in a way. It definitely, like, you know, it's a horrible thing to go through, and those it all come at once, and those few weeks were just like absolutely hit you full power.
Yeah, I mean,
and,
what they should have done is, for whatever reason, they should have just put me on garden leave or stand me down.
Yeah.
But what they did do is 3 days later they called me in for a remuneration meeting, and sat in front of them all, and they were asking me certain questions, and I said, I thought you're putting away. Oh no, we're doing you for gross misconduct now.
Oh, right.
And I've gone, I'm sacked. Yeah, but it's for gross misconduct. I went, no, you've definitely put in the newspaper, I'm sacked because of performances.
Yeah.
You can't give me gross misconduct after the event. So, obviously, they couldn't backtrack because that's legal rights. I had the LMA helping me. But, I just wish it could have been sorted straight away. I went through hell in terms of, most managers get sacked and then they wait to get on the next job, don't they? Where I couldn't even do that. I didn't even have a wage then. I literally just had to find a job, which Dave Lang helped me get a job.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, incredible story so far, Marcus. Honestly, like, what you've been through, I am cautious of time. Obviously, you do go back to, you have a few jobs after that to keep yourself in football and whatnot, but then you go back to Kettering, you do win the league. I've heard it from Lavs and that, and he was your assistant, but then you do leave there. I want to go on to this. I just want a new chapter for you. You want to get back into the game?
Yeah, I do. It's me, my makeup. It's what lights my eyes up. People say whenever talking about my past, I get motivated. When the Kettering thing didn't finish very well for numerous reasons, even though we'd won the league. Partly a large amount could have been my drive and my want to win the league and prove people wrong. I've been there 4 years. 3 years we came fourth with 97 points, 100 odd goals, and still came fourth, didn't get qualified, we didn't get promoted. And I wanted to prove that I would get this club promoted, and I went all out and did numerous things commercially beyond a manager's position, made promises that I 98% fulfilled but didn't fully fulfill, and took that on myself. And with that pressure, what also then came is my own businesses that I was involved in, my own livelihood, my own marriage. Everything just crumbled and disappeared away from the want and willingness of trying to win. And we went to Bradford, which was only a temporary thing, and everything that I was trying to build just kind of disappeared from a family perspective, from business perspective, from a working career, and the wanting to be back in the conference. And from probably when 2019, 2020, I've had to break it all down and just go sort myself out in terms of me physically. I've had 2 hip replacements. Look after myself far better than I've ever done since I was a footballer, and really enjoy it and use various forms of motivation, social media in particular. But I had this real anger and frustration in my head about not ever really enjoying any of them moments, and keep going back to certain times and should I change anything. And then also, there's no one here now picking me up. There's no one here who's motivating the motivator kind of scenario, which people laugh at. But like I've been a chameleon for so many years, putting so many caps on and being the coach, being the manager, being the babysitter, being that lad who loans him some money, and then never calling it in, being the manager or coach who don't put his expenses in because you want that 50 quid to go to your right back, did whatever it could and formed, and all of a sudden now I'm in need. No one...
It can be a lonely place.
Massively. Yeah. And I'm not a big social person, and my fault, which I'm a firm believer is strengths are your weaknesses. So my strengths was very well driven and where I'm going, and I'm in control. But I pushed people away, kept people away, didn't bring people in to join in the fun, just was on that drive. And, I've become very solitaire, if that isn't a word, but it's very just... The only probably two people who know me massively now are my two daughters. So since I've been out of football, they've come really close with me. Because you imagine when you're a football manager, you're here, there and everywhere. And I just became very, very distant to everyone, fighting the battles that was fighting, and then became even more on my own. Tried to get back involved with Barwell, with Guy.
Yeah.
Just they got me at the wrong time. Wasn't seeing clearly. It was an excuse to be away from what my problems were. And I've had... Obviously, the health with the hips has helped me in the gym. That's helped my mind. But I've just trying to deal with a bit of a resentment and anger. Like it became everything that kind of Kettering became like a love-hate. I needed everyone to be questioning me. I needed everyone to be downtrodden me. I mean, the things people do on fan forums and stuff. It was downgrading. It was entering personal elements of me. And it became an air of motivation to prove them wrong. And then I proved them wrong, and then I just fell flat on my face. And I just became very, very low. Work disappeared. So I'm fighting for jobs, end up on a job with HS2. I take the Bradford job on. I got more points on my licence than I did managing them.
It's a lot mentally to deal with, and we speak about a lot of men's mental health. It has to be talked about, and especially I know people who've suffered with it, and it's not nice at all. And but just speaking to you and it seems you're in a good place now.
Yeah, I needed to do something like this because I needed to let some stuff out because I don't actually talk to anyone about it.
And that's what this is about, and what you've let out, and hopefully it's a bit like a counselling session, really, isn't it?
Well, it is, and we've been here before, and the thing is that the main thing that you've done, which is the biggest steps, and this is sort of my line of work of what I do, is number one, you're here and you've come and spoke about it, and number two, you acknowledge it and you can actually go, well, yeah, this is what I've done wrong and this is what I've done right, or this is what's happened. And now you've come out, and the bravest thing that I think you've said is I want to go back into it. That's what I want to do, because that takes more bollocks after everything that you've been through, all the highs and the lows, than to fucking just go, I'm just going to stay away from it now. You've gone, fuck that, I'm fighting it. Sword and shield are out and I'm going for it.
Yeah, because you do know football. You've won things. It's there on fucking paper. It's there on cups and that. And you have won things. You've won promotions. You've found these players and put teams together. And just like sitting there listening, it's like you're just embracing it. And it's going,
absolutely.
It's like, what you've been, and you should be proud of what you've done, 100%. Fuck all the bullshit.
Yeah. And
what people do say and that, and when you said about the forums and that, like you've done those things, and there's every right you should get back into football, 100%.
Yeah, there's a reason why this was heavy. That's what
I say I'm moving up to the northwest.
Yeah.
I had a couple of interviews up there. I'm hopeful. I haven't been in the area, which seems to be my downfall at the minute.
Yeah.
In terms of people's perception, I might just have to get back to roots and just literally go. The issue I got now is I'm a threat so no one really would want to take me as a number 2 or come in as a
Yeah,
coach.
yeah.
Because
especially looking at
it's very cynical
TV,
world of football. They'll be like, why? Well, can I trust him? And then would someone take me in that would know the area and how well I'm known? I mean, I've got a decent network up in there from, Liam Watson, Mickey Mellon, and England number 2s from Liverpool. Coached him at Forest Green, which we never spoke about. Andy Barry. I nearly took Lee Carsley as my second in command at Tamworth. I mean,
what could have been?
There's so much more, but I've come through a very dark place.
Yeah.
Which work weren't really good for me in terms of it was just erratic, and then going through separation, I ended up just in a mould of just being there for my daughters.
Yeah.
I knew, as much as she probably disagrees, I knew I couldn't mess or fuck around with the ex, because if she gets in a bad place, that means my daughters are in a bad place. So I've had to fight I've hidden a lot of stuff and fought a lot of my battles, and just got away from resenting everything that I tried to achieve or have achieved, because no one's here now helping me. But I created that, and also what I've learned is you get a load of acquaintances and friends from football, but it's because of football. And it was like a defining moment where I probably, I don't know, doing a bench press or doing something, and I've just gone, well, I only knew them because of football, and now football's not here, why should they be? And it's I lost confidence then in talking to other people and wanting to talk to people. Rich has done very well with me, in fairness, without, I don't know if he meant it or not, but he's lured me into conversations. But I'm watching a lot more games, and I want to get onto the training field now. I want to start showing things that I see. I helped a little kids team last year a little bit, which was fun. And I know I've got vast more stories and experiences that I can draw back on to then go do another level for someone to enjoy from.
Definitely.
Well, I think this is going to help massively. I don't know if we've got any fans up north. I think we probably have. We can see where the listeners are coming from. Up north.
Let's go on some quick fires.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Obviously, we can carry on for hours and hours.
Yeah,
and hours.
I apologise for that.
Don't, please don't.
We're going to pick some quick fires out, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, very quick.
Go on.
Best player you've coached or managed?
I know who's going to
pick a couple, if you want. We like a couple, but yeah, pick a couple.
As in the outcome or how they played at the time?
Just for you. The best player that you've coached or managed for you.
Nick Green, Robert Betts, Marcus Kelly, Danny Crowley.
Danny Crowley, yes. Nice. Yeah, fair play.
Favourite memory in football?
Signing full-time manager's contract.
Yeah, fair play. Yeah.
Because I set out to do it. And
fair. Yeah, I love that. Did you have an idol growing up?
Did I what?
Have an idol.
Pete Shilton.
And
trained with him.
Oh,
away from football, favourite takeaway?
Used to be, or now I eat clean.
Yeah. You still don't have a cheat day, surely?
That's my cheat.
Yeah.
They're my empty calories. Takeaways are probably... I'd fall into a Chinese... Won't eat no fast food. Don't do no fast food. Chinese, and I'd split it into 4 meals.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to finish off with best team night out.
Oh, you fucker.
Thinking back, best team night out.
Climbing the rocks around Marbella, finding a boat in a suit with the board members of Tamworth. Would that count?
I didn't see that coming out. Jesus Christ, that can count.
A suit is enough for me in Marbella.
That can count, yeah.
But you're wet through.
Oh no, I didn't get wet. I made it. I made it across. Basically, I'd lost them all. as in the 3 board members, the chairman and the 2. And this is when things were really great at Tamworth, obviously, with in the top 6, and took me to Marbella. And that's where I met Fabio Capello. Just thought I'd drop that one in on the way home. But anyway, I lost them, and then the security wouldn't let me near the boats where they owned. So I found a way. I mean, I'm fucking paralytic, by the way. I could never do it sober.
Yeah.
And I've climbed some rocks, took myself around the harbour. I don't know how high. I didn't look down. It was dark, so it was probably a good thing. I made it onto the. But in joking aside, I stayed away from nights out because I was young, and I fall into it too much. Yeah. And I wanted to be the teacher, the coach. So Obes did all that. And Lavs will probably tell you, the dressing room I very rarely went in. I came in, I gave my rules, I wanted this, I wanted that, boom, I'm out. This is how you're going to do it, boom. And I kept that. And maybe I'm older, and maybe when we go into the next job, I'd probably be a little bit more open and maybe let myself go a little bit more, because I'm not going to be in the Football League, and that dream's gone, and I'm not going to be the real Mourinho. So there is a club that will see a different side to me, but with the knowledge.
Definitely, fair play. Marcus, thank you so much for your time, your stories, your journeys. We wish you all the best, honestly. I know it's been a while having you on, because I remember we spoke probably when we first set this up, but I believe timing is key.
Yes.
And, we've had guests on where timing has been key.
Absolutely.
To coming on. Yeah. So I feel like this is the right time to do this with yourself. Thank you.
In your new era as well.
That's it.
Yeah.
So,
what an episode.
I know, what
Season
an episode
5, episode 1. Enjoy, by the way.
There we
Fucking
go.
superb.
No, thank you guys, and all the best.
Thank you very
so
much.
Thank you so much.